All right. In our last video, we ended with looking at the distance while the car was moved while distracted and while reacting. To finish this one out, I'm going to do this pretty quickly. My reaction time was 0.3 seconds. And for my distracted, or my distance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit equal sign. It's the velocity or speed times time. So C10 times 0.3. Oops, I missed mine. So I'm going to say 0.3, which was C9. I hit enter, and there's my equation, or there's my value. Okay, now we're going to move on to the last and most complicated situation, which is moving while braking. So I'm going to go ahead and say moving while braking, and I'm going to bold this category. All right. A few things that are important for this. This is the starting speed of the car. That's going to be important. The braking acceleration. That is important. The time to brake. All right. And then ultimately, we in this section are looking for the distance the car moves while braking. Right. Again, I want to right justify those. So if I select and highlight, I can go up here, click right justify, makes those look nice. All right. So to do these two, starting speed of the car and braking acceleration, those are inputs. So I'm going to go and click on the input tab, and I don't, we can say this was our meters per second, and this one was meters second per second. Right. For the time to brake, that's actually going to be a calculation. We don't have a color for that yet, so I'm going to make that yellow and show that this one was a calculation was yellow. And we know time is measured in seconds here. Then last, the distance the car moved, I'm going to make that excuse me, in green, and we'll be looking at that. That's meters. All right. So now the starting speed of the car was 10 and 10. I could type in 10, but I don't want to have to redo that. So I'm going to hit equal sign, and I'm going to pull the starting speed of the car, which was in cell C5. The braking acceleration was something that we learned through research. This was -8 meters per second each second. So what that means is it slows down 8 meters per second each second. That's a typical range for a car. Okay, I'm going to right to justify those. All right, next is my time to brake. And to find my time to brake, we did this before. I'm going to hit equal sign, and I want to take the starting speed of the car. Okay. And I will take that starting speed and I'll divide it by the braking acceleration. Okay. Now, when I hit enter, you'll see it says -1.3 seconds. Okay. Now, a time can't actually be negative. So what we need to do is I'm going to multiply this by -1 to get rid of that negative. So what I did is I went up into the calculation and I hit a negative sign in front, I put parentheses around it, and it becomes positive 1.3. All right. Now for our last and most complicated equation. Make sure you're following carefully and as you're going through. The first thing is make sure that this comes out to be a positive value for the 1.3 seconds. To do the breaking distance, what you're going to do is, again, like we always do, hit equals, and we have two parts. The first part is the initial velocity times time. So initial velocity is 10, so I will say 10 times, which is shift 8, the time that we have, plus we have to worry about the acceleration part, which is 0.5, 1/2, a, which is our acceleration. So I'm going to say times our acceleration, and then times the time again, shift 6 squared. Now, if we look at this up in the corner here, this is the best place to look as you're going in. And so I would say you want to make sure that you're looking up here for where the calculation is. So C14 times D16 plus 0.5 times C15 times D16 squared. All right. Now, when you hit enter, that should pull up what we get there. All right, I'm going to write justify that. All right, we are almost done with this simulation. The last thing we need to do is what we're really looking for is how far you actually traveled while we went. So I'm going to say this is the total distance are moved equals. Now this is very important. So I'm going to say B, shift B or control B to bold it, and we want a distance here. All right. So to get my total distance, I need to add up all my other distances together. So to do that, I'm going to say equals distance moved while distracted, E6, Control Shift plus this plus E17 there. So I should have 3 values in there. And sure enough, I get my 29.3. Now, the reason in my case that it came out to be a decimal place here is it's a little bit rounded off. Yours probably won't be rounded like this, and I can just show you that indeed these are rounded there. And we see that my 20 plus my 3 plus my 6.3 should be 29.6. All right, there's a few extra challenges that we want you to do. One thing is we don't know really a good understanding for what meters is, so I'm going to have you do a conversion. We'll have you do some if-then statements, and then also working on some additional problems.